Authorities have urged motorists to avoid roads around the High Court in Pietermaritzburg today as former President Jacob Zuma will be appearing in court. Mr. Zuma is facing 16 charges of corruption, fraud, racketeering and money laundering relating to the controversial arms deal in the 1990s. Now, for the latest from Pietermaritzburg, SABC News journalist Ayanda Mhlongo joins me now live. Ayanda, firstly, remind us why the case has been moved to Pietermaritzburg and what can we expect today?
Yeah, very good morning to you, Blaine, and good morning to our viewers at home. It's type of activity outside the Pietermaritzburg High Court. Of course, the supporters started gathering here last night and they've been arriving in their numbers since this morning to show their support for the former president, who's expected to arrive here shortly, and court proceedings should get underway at around 10 a.m. this morning. Blaine, we've been moved, or the case moved here to Pietermaritzburg because of the renovations that were taking place at the Durban High Court. To remember, he appeared there for his first two appearances. That was in April and in June. And last time, then the Justice Madondo then telling the court that the next appearance would be here in Pietermaritzburg. I tell you, as you're speaking about the road closure, it's a complete lockdown around the court. Heavy police presence here this morning. There's also a walk that is taking place as we speak. Supporters are gathered at Dales Park and they'll be making their way here, led of course by the clergy, making their way here to court. They want to get here before the former president makes his arrival. We're not too sure yet. There are two entrances, Blaine, here at this court, so we're not too sure at this point whether he'll come in through the back entrance or he'll come in here through the front entrance. But of course, while so much activity is taking place outside, and so far as the supporters, all eyes will be on what will happen inside. We've been speaking to legal experts to tell us that it could be a brief appearance this morning. We could expect another postponement. But just speaking of that, let me now bring in Advocate Makosazana Mbonani. Thanks very much for joining us, Advocate. You've been with us since this morning. Just for our viewers now probably joining us, what can we expect? You had said that it's likely to be a postponement.
Thank you for having me. And yes, it's likely that it's going to be a postponement because, for those who don't know, the president has recently parted ways with his former legal team. So what happens in those circumstances is that the new legal team has to familiarize themselves with the work that has to be done. So they need to form a proper defense so that they know what case that they are meeting. So under the circumstances, it is likely that they are going to ask the court to give them more time to prepare.
We did chat a little bit earlier on also about his defense team earlier, that they were seeking a review application. That was on the decision by the NPA to reinstate charges against him. Could we see his defense team today? As you're saying, it is a new team. Will they be able to file or make that application for review?
Well, and anything is possible. So at this point, they can make an application to review the decision of the NDPP not to stay prosecution. But it is likely that they will need more time to do that. So a postponement is likely, but it is court. Anything can happen.
The last appearance in Durban, representing the state, Advocate Billy Down, saying that they are ready, and it's now in the president's court, basically his defense team. Some saying that it's been delay after delay. I mean, this case has been going on for quite some time. We're back now, but it started way back, even before he became president of the country. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the state has said that they are ready to proceed, and the matter is set down for the 12th of November. The state has been ready for a while. What has occasioned these postponements is that the former president was not sure about who was going to pay for his legal costs. You'll remember there was an agreement that the states would pay for the costs, and with the case that that is in the Pretoria High Court on whether he should pay his own legal costs or not having been concluded, he cannot make a final decision about that. So that talks to does he have the team that he needs to meet the case that he needs to. So to wrap it up, I would say that he is well within his rights to seek for a postponement so that he knows the position that he is in financially, so that he can have the team that he needs. But it is in the court's discretion to decide that we will give you an indulgence up until this point. So it's the courts that are going to decide.
All right, Edward Ngumbonani, thanks so much for your time. Our legal expert, they're playing advocate Makosazana Mbonani. Of course, we'll be speaking to her a little bit later as well. Also on the former president's co-accused, the French arms company, represented by Ms. Christine Guerrier. She is not here at this appearance. She did ask at the last appearance that she be excused, and the judge allowing that. So proceedings, of course, as I said, it's supposed to get underway at 10 o'clock. We've seen some of the leaders of the ANC here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. We also saw some of the former Minister Faith Mutambi amongst the guests, represent MKMVA's Mr. Carl Niehaus. So some of the leaders that we've seen already arrive here at the court, and outside, of course, there his supporters are gathering in their numbers. And as you possibly also see here, the entire court is under lockdown. A heavy police presence here at the Pietermaritzburg High Court. We'll leave it here for now. Blaine, back to you.
I know, just before I let you go, in terms of the TikTok of how the court proceedings afterwards, can we expect the same like we saw in Durban in terms of Mr. Zuma coming out and addressing the crowds?
Certainly, Blaine, that is what he's going to do, and we have been alerted by his security that he will leave once the court proceedings are done. He will make his way, it's called the Freedom Square, so he will make his way across the road to where his supporters are gathered. There is a stage already set there, and as now has become the case in his previous two appearances that held in Durban, he will address their supporters here, and that is really what they here for, Blaine. They're unable to follow, of course, the proceedings inside. So when he comes out, he usually does speak to them and update them on what happened in court, and as well as just to speak to them. Obviously, he doesn't often get to see members of the ANC now that he's no longer president. So he does use that opportunity as well just to speak to his supporters that have come out here in their numbers. And I must say, just speaking to some of them, they're eagerly awaiting to see the former president.
In terms of the support, Ayanda, what about that night vigil that was scheduled to take place last night? How was that support based there?
The night vigil went ahead as planned. Blaine, well, the numbers, Durban, we covered the Durban, the two night vigils there, they pulled off quite a crowd. Maybe not so many people this time at last night's night vigil, but certainly the difference was that at the last Durban night vigils, we saw people coming in at around 11 o'clock. They left and went home. This time they actually stayed out throughout the night. When we arrived here in the early hours of the morning, there was quite a crowd that was still here, and most saying that they had stayed here throughout the night waiting for today's court appearance. But the organizers of the supporters outside saying that they're expecting more people to come through. They've made arrangements for buses to come through from across the province of KwaZulu-Natal, but also other provinces as well. They've spoken of Northwest, the Free State, Mpumalanga, people coming from those provinces to come and show their support for the former president.
Okay, and thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Let's leave it there. And Mhlongo live for us in Pietermaritzburg. Thank you very much indeed.